the overlooked talent.
Lila had always yearned to be extraordinary. As a child, she watched her siblings and friends with a quiet envy, marvelling at their innate talents. Her brother had a knack for music, her sister painted landscapes that drew admiration, and her classmates excelled in academics or sports. Lila, on the other hand, was cursed with an absence of skill. Everything she touched seemed to falter. She fumbled through piano lessons, tripped during dance recitals, and failed spectacularly at school debates. Her efforts were met with laughter and ridicule, which only deepened her solitude. Her family's words were a constant thorn. "Not everyone is born for greatness," her mother would say, attempting to soften the blow. But the bitterness lingered. Friends mocked her clumsiness, using her failures as the punchline of every joke. Lila swallowed their derision, smiling faintly as though it didn't pierce her heart. But each night as she lay in her small, untidy room, the silence roared, and she felt utterly alone. Still, she didn't give up. She tried her hand at everything that might make her stand out. She baked cakes that refused to rise, painted canvases that resembled childish scrawls, and wrote poems so trite that even she couldn't bear to read them. Each failure was a bitter pill to swallow, but she pressed on, chasing a dream that seemed determined to elude her. Yet, unbeknownst to Lila, there was one thing she excelled at. People confided in her. They poured out their troubles, their fears, their dreams. They came to her with their tangled thoughts, seeking solace. She would sit quietly, her eyes soft with understanding, and listen. She didn't offer advice. Words had never been her strong suit. But when they left, they often carried with them a newfound clarity, as if the act of speaking to her had swept away the clouds. Oddly, success seemed to follow these encounters. A classmate who had been stuck in a dead-end job was promoted shortly after sharing his frustrations with Lila. Her sister, once paralyzed by self-doubt, became a renowned artist after an emotional evening spent confiding in her. It was as though Lila absorbed the weight of their struggles, leaving them lighter and freer. But no one ever gave her a second thought. They returned to their lives, basking in their triumphs, while Lila remained in the shadows. Years turned into decades. Lila aged, her dreams of talent fading like old photographs. Her days were quiet, her nights lonelier still. She lived in a modest apartment with peeling wallpaper and creaking floors. The world had moved on, leaving her behind. Those she had listened to were now successful and respected, but none ever came back to thank her. She had been their stepping stone, invisible and forgotten. Her once bright eyes dimmed, but the longing in her heart never waned. She watched from her small window as others basked in the glow of their achievements, feeling like a fish out of water in a world that celebrated excellence. The sadness sat heavy in her chest, an unshakable companion. One cold winter evening, as she sat by the dim light of a fraying lamp, she reflected on her life. She had no accolades, no wealth, no family to care for her. But in every nook and cranny of her existence there had been traces of others, those who had confided, those who had flourished. She realized with a pang of bittersweet clarity that her gift had never been about her. It had always been about them. And so she drifted into her final years, still unseen, still unheard, but with a quiet acceptance. Her life had been a patchwork stitched not with her own successes, but with the triumphs of others. She had been their silent refuge, their mirror, their sounding board. And while the world would never sing her praises, Lila knew in some small sorrowful way that she had mattered. When she passed, there were no mourners, no grand eulogies, but somewhere in countless lives she had touched, her presence lingered, a faint, forgotten thread in the fabric of their triumphs.
Thank you for listening to English Audio Lounge. We hope you have enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more audio stories and video classes to improve your English.